Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous edition of Wolvenreign. Today, we're continuing our commission series, Magic and Dust, written by Zalrok C. Souldeath. Now, let's begin. I awoke to my alarm loudly exclaiming that it was 9 a.m. via obnoxious electronic beeping, like a truck in reverse. My pale red eyes slowly opened before immediately squinting from the sudden light streaming in through the nearby window. Blinking a few times, I forced myself to sit up and shut off the infernal beeping, then stretched before dragging my princely rump from the confines of my warm bed. I stripped off my nightclothes on my way to the bathroom, exposing my thin, athletic form to the crisp morning air. I grabbed my razor and lifted it to my face before stopping to examine myself in the mirror. Gods, I looked tired. Silver stubble clung to my pale, handsome features, chiseled jawline hidden beneath a field of facial hair. I began my morning routine with a tired sigh, shaving, brushing my stark white teeth before hopping hurriedly into the warm deluge of the shower head. I was probably in there for much longer than necessary, but I was loath to leave the pleasantly warm water. Exiting the shower, I dried myself and put on my clothes for the day. A white button-up shirt tucked into a pair of dark gray slacks, secured with a simple black leather belt. Black socks covered my feet. Running a comb through my short silver hair, I headed downstairs where I could smell breakfast being served. The smell of bacon and fresh coffee welcomed me to the white marble-clad dining room, my feet sinking into the familiar red carpet that covered the floor as I approached the polished table that dominated the room. Piling food onto my plate, I took a seat next to my sister, Weiss. "Morning, sis," I said, signaling one of the servants to pour me a cup of tea. She glanced up from her food. "Good morning, Herschel," came her tired reply. I quietly and politely thanked the servant before returning my attention to Weiss. "Excited for tomorrow?" I asked, hoping that I disguised my anticipation. "Indeed I am," she remarked without looking up from her food. I knew her well enough to know she wasn't in a talkative mood this morning, so we proceeded to eat in relative silence. Weiss finished before me and excused herself, leaving to do who knows what, probably practicing with her blade, Merton asked her. I, on the other hand, retreated to my small arcanium. It was a simple affair located in a quiet corner of the family manor. It was here that I conducted my magic and dust-related experiments. It also contained the small trunk which held my fearsome weapons, a pair of dust-slinging war axes known as Blitzkrieg. The lethal blades were enchanted, one with fire, the other with ice, and each fired custom, high-caliber dust rounds, which elementally matched the respective enchantment. Depending on my need, the two could be combined to form either a savage battle axe or an accurate and deadly rifle. As far as I was concerned, they were the best weapons in all of Nirn. The trunk also contained the robes I had received from my uncle after I finished school. I am a mage, graduate of the local school for magic, my proficiencies lying in the schools of destruction, alteration, enchanting, and restoration, the latter of which I had mastered by the time I graduated. I donned the deceptively soft but protective robe. It was composed mainly of cotton, bolstered by experimental carbon nanofibers woven into the fabric. It was as light as a feather and tougher than steel. The seamstress had also woven various enchantments of protection and magic enchantment into the robe as she sewed, its effects protecting me from physical attack, while also boosting my magicka recovery and the effectiveness of my spells. It was worth more than anything else I owned, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I grabbed Blitzkrieg and clipped them into my belt before leaving the house to visit the local park before I had to leave. I took my bike for a change, as I had not ridden it in what felt like ages. I saw people of all kinds hurrying along as I pedaled towards the park. This included a pair of faunas being rudely insulted and mocked by some jerk. If it weren't for my reputation as a schnee, I would have told the gentleman to pound sand. I had no qualms with faunas, personally. They were capable magic users, and most were skilled at herb lore. I respected them and sympathized with them slightly, though I had never openly sought friendships with any of them, as I had been taught not to trust or associate with them. My thoughts returned to the park and I sped off into the distance, eager to arrive and relax. The park was large and beautifully decorated with flowers, trees, and statues. Some said Atlas devoted too much money into recreational facilities like these, though some have also said the same about the military. Children ran and played amongst the trees and flower beds. Young couples sat upon the benches. I laid back against an old oak tree and contemplated the clouds as they drifted by. I looked around at the other people in the park. Most wore casual military uniforms or civilian clothing. The military permeated everything in Atlas, but the appeal of it escaped me. The Atlesian military did not actively use mages in combat. When I asked Winter, she hadn't given me a straight answer, almost as if she was attempting to dodge the question entirely. My skill in magic was why I wanted to go to Beacon. Professor Ozpin was rumored to be a kind man, who welcomed capable fighters no matter their methods into his school. My family, the Schnees, had a contact with both the Atlas military and quite a few others, as well as several civilian companies, supplying dust and crystals for various applications, from transportation to medicine to weapons. I sat there beneath the tree for a time before getting back on my bike and heading home. It was getting towards noon and I had yet to pack my bags. I returned to my room, filling my suitcase with the essentials: clothes, hygienic items, and a set of formal wear. I made my way to the Arcanium next, packing various tomes regarding the manipulation of dust through magic, including notes from my own experiments. I tucked several small samples of specialized dust blends into the suitcase, as well as a number of small enchanted baubles that I wore either during experiments or combat. Hefting the bags and leaving the room, I made my way to the family landing pad, where a bullhead was waiting to take Weiss and myself out to Vale. My sister was already outside directing the servants who were struggling to lift her bags. Walking past her, stowed my suitcase on board, and then returned to say goodbye to our mother, who had just exited the family home. She wished us the best of luck in our classes before we climbed aboard the bullhead. We waved to her as it took off from the platform and sped off towards Vale. I smiled as I considered the thought of being at Beacon by tomorrow. This, I said to myself, this is going to be amazing.